So you didn't come up with the word. You didn't come up with the word Wu-Tang?
No, the Wu-Tang comes from a movie.
Right.
Asian martial arts, American hip-hop. One an ancient form of spiritual philosophy and self-defense, the other a musical style born from the streets of New York. And despite the differences, the two now seem inseparable. From Samurai Champloo to Ghost Dog, the melding of these two seemingly different art forms seems so natural. But why?
A game of chess is like a sword fight.
Well, in 1993, one album dropped that changed Kung Fu and music forever. Enter the Wu-Tang Clan 36 Chambers. It took the pioneering sample approach of Paul's Boutique and gave it a thematic core of Asian-inspired iconography. From the filmic references to the dark drum beats and unique vocal approaches, Wu-Tang felt like a group of warriors and their weapon was their voice. But why did these poorly dubbed films that dominated the grindhouse circuit in the 70s and 80s lend themselves so well to the style of New York rap Wu-Tang was developing? Well, the history of Kung Fu films dates back to Peking opera, a type of opera that combines music, dance, and importantly acrobatics that mimic martial arts. This acrobatic dance would be performed to a rhythm. If you watch an early Jackie Chan film, you can hear this rhythm ingrained in his performance. After all, he's a disciple of this opera tradition. But this rhythm and beat and pulse is ingrained into the genre and would soon become ingrained into hip-hop. When two warriors fight in a Kung Fu film, it's about who has the best timing, discipline, rhythm and style. One stutter and you're dead, which really is the same way one would describe a freestyle rap battle. Two artists use everything they know of their craft, and whoever stutters, trips, loses their timing or place has lost. And even if they make it to the end, it's about who had the better skill. Well, growing up in the early hip-hop scene, a young RZA begins honing his skills, finding his style and perfecting his act. He soon enlists his friends to form the group that would become Wu-Tang Clan. Named after the sword style used in the Gordon Liu films Shaolin and Wu-Tang, RZA envisioned the lyrical technique of rap as a weapon, and Wu-Tang being the most feared sword style, he envisioned his crew to be the deadliest and the best. It's of no surprise that RZA sees his music as a weapon. Growing up in poverty and surrounded by crime and violence, his rap offers an escape, a way to transcend his prison, and adopting an indestructible weapon, an unbeatable style, seems to offer this young soon-to-be star a hope that he can be the best. These films taught RZA and the crew more than just fancy weapons. They showed them a world beyond the tough streets of New York. Kung Fu films are ingrained in underdog stories and tales of hard work. No one is born the best, they train to be the best. This is very similar in hip-hop. Practicing their skills with freestyle, constant writing sessions, beats and samples leads to being a good artist. The films often have warriors against the system's warriors fighting oppression, standing up for what is right by putting their life on the line. Again, very reminiscent to what many of these young hip-hop artists were living. Grindhouse favourites connect with RZA and the crew. Films like 36 Chambers of Shaolin, 8 Diagram Pole Fighter, Shogun Assassin, The Mystery of Chess Boxing, The 5 Deadly Venoms, all different to everything this crew knew about the world, yet thematically a mirror image to how they felt. They could find heroes that weren't just the rehashes of the same old white cowboys. These were serious films with serious themes, rhythmic qualities and deadly consequences that they could relate to. So Enter the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers drops, and it combines these two genres perfectly. It's a dark and gritty album that feels mystical with its tonal landscape being built from Kung Fu. Swords litter the songs, and it adds a consistency and legitimacy to the idea that RZA pioneered. Each artist has a unique identity and style, from ODB's manic and lyrical approach to Ghostface Killer's ruthless delivery. Each of them feels like a master of a different style, whereas a unit they feel unstoppable. The thematic idea continues into each of the group's first solo work, and they continue to fill their soundscape with Asian iconography, because RZA works behind the scenes helping them create the ideology of Wu-Tang. That's a lot of albums with a lot of kung fu samples. It wasn't long before the culture noticed this, with VHS companies re-releasing any kung fu film they could get their hands on. Labels like the Wu-Tang Collection appear, titles have changed names to bring in the hip-hop crowd. It's a phenomenon. RZA's brilliance of noticing the thematic similarities of hip-hop and Asian cinema changes the genre forever. It's impossible now to watch a classic kung fu film and not envision hip-hop. It's impossible to hear hip-hop and not envision martial arts. In many ways, RZA returns kung fu to its purity of Peking opera. He shows that it's a rhythmic genre by using it to highlight his crew's own rhythmic style. Now, I'm not saying that hip-hop has become the dominant form of music to accompany kung fu and samurai and East Asian iconography, because it hasn't. But when it is used, it's not jarring, it's not a juxtaposition of sounds. It feels right at home. When Samurai Champloo dropped an anime about samurai that's accompanied by hip-hop, it didn't feel unique, it seemed logical. Even though Wu-Tang focused on Hong Kong cinema, the link to an East Asian ideology and artistic output was solidified beyond kung fu. When you watch Western films about black culture, films like Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, they're all about honour, brotherhood, family and culture, which is very similar to the Eastern period films like Kung Fu and martial arts and samurai films. So RZA really just highlighted the link that was already there between the two cultures and made it recognised. And he still continues to mesh these two forms with his career transitioning into film, developing soundtracks for directors like Quentin Tarantino and Jim Jarmusch. He's gone on to direct his own kung fu film, The Man with the Iron Fists, and he has now begun to develop a company called 36 Cinema, an online screening platform for old kung fu films. Hip-hop has been adopted by many genres, but it's always jarring and there for stylistic qualities over any real substance. But Wu-Tang showed the thematic qualities that make it blend well with kung fu more than any other genre. It's at home in the kung fu genre, and that's why when it's used it doesn't feel unnatural. Rap and martial arts are both about beauty within chaos, about people overcoming hardship with dedication, just like a rap verse can sound chaotic. A fight scene can look chaotic, but to the trained eye or ear they are a complex control of one's own physical ability and skill. You can mimic Method Man's rhymes, you can copy Jackie Chan's moves, but no one can master their style, no one can truly replicate it. It's a combination of the person and the skill they have developed through their own life and hardships. There will only be one Bruce Lee and there will only be one Wu-Tang Clan. RZA and Wu-Tang Clan reinvented Kung Fu. They gave old films a second lease of life and showed them for the cool, slick genre pieces they were, and they changed the cultural code of them forever. Kung Fu now is ingrained within hip-hop culture, and hip-hop culture is now ingrained within Kung Fu, and it always will be.
Do you think your Wu-Tang sword can defeat me?
The best sword style that I've ever witnessed in a martial art film was the Wu-Tang sword.
If what you say is true, the Shaolin and the Wu-Tang could be dangerous.
Yeah, I got this idea of the Wu-Tang Clan.
I hope you guys enjoyed